Okay, everyone, welcome back to the Black Gentleman's Culture Premium Cigar and Spirits channel. And today we are out front with a Cohiba Robusto. This is a 4 3/4 cigar. It's a 50 ring gauge, and this happens to be a Puro. This is all Cuban, from the wrapper, the binder, and the tobacco. Everything on this cigar is from Cuba. That being said, let's let this card come through, because they always do when I start. But let's get into it. First of all, on that cold draw, you're going to get a sweetness, almost what I would say is a sweet bread. Off of the body, you're going to get a lot of sweet hay and cedar. And off of the foot, you get a small kick of spice. Like I said, a small kick. Not heavy, but just small. You could smell it coming through. Now, that being said, I also decided to pair this and decided to put him under the gun. I have Shannon Sharp's Portier Cognac. That being said, I'm going to go ahead, get through the first third, and also let you know how I feel about the cognac so far. All right, folks. This is the Portier Cognac from Shannon Sharp. I have the 2024 limited edition bottle. Off of the nose, you're going to get a definitely spice coming through, followed by the sweet subtleness of the grapes from this cognac. From there, on the taste, right now, you're definitely going to get that little bit of fire. But the fire is followed by what I would say is definitely the grapes and something else that is missing me at this point. That being said, I'm going to go ahead, let this air out a little bit more, and I'm going to go ahead and see how it's doing with this cigar, which happens to be a Cohiba Robusto Cuban. All right, folks, see you then. And we are back. And as you can see, the burn on this cigar is what I like to say is that kiddie roller coaster. It's off, and it got a lot of little peaks going on in the burn. That being said, the draw is perfect. If I wanted to use this as a straw, I could. And that's pretty, let's just say it's like a 80% chance that all Cuban cigars would have a perfect draw. But it's that 20% where you need the perfect draw to clear it up. But this one, no, perfect. That being said, I'm getting a lot of roasted almond on the palate through the smoke. The retrohale is creamy with a little bit of baker spice in it. And far as the aroma, you're definitely going to get that sweet hay, light earth. This cigar, like I said, is a Cuban Puro. And so far, I paired it with this Portier Cognac. And saying right now through the beginning, get ready, folks, a 7.5 for both together. That being said, I'm going to go ahead, get through the halfway point, and I'm going to let you know through the review on the cognac if this has improved. All right. Okay, everyone, let me tell you, this is definitely one of those cognacs you want to open up and let breathe. Even though I let the bottle breathe for about a good 15-20 minutes before I poured this, it breathes a little bit better when you put it in a glass. And now, as you can see, I'm drinking it neat, no ice, no nothing. This is just room temperature that's been in the dark. So when I started drinking this, it was probably at an eternal temperature around 65 degrees. Now that I've been outside with it, letting it breathe, You could really taste the molasses, the grapes, and again, like I said, it's a little bit hot. So them three are mixing very well. And like I said, I'm enjoying this with a Cohiba Robusto. And so far in the beginning, I gave these two like a 7.5. If I had to do it individually, the 7.5 is actually going to the cigar. And I'm going to give this cognac right now. Like I said, this is the second video in this review. I'm going to give it about a solid 8. Now, like I said, I'm going to let it keep breathing. I'm going to keep sipping on it. And I'm going to let you know how it's going. But I can say the sweetness of the molasses is amazing. So if you know what molasses tastes like, you're definitely going to get this. And I highly recommend that you do nose this before you drink, because the heat could block the taste of the molasses. All right, folks, I'm going to go ahead and see you at the halfway point of the cigar. So everyone, we are now at the halfway point. As you can see, that roller coaster is definitely now into a soft kiddie coaster. It almost evened itself out with the burn. Now, as far as the flavor profile, there has been a slight change. You definitely get a little bit more of that dark chocolate that they say that's in this. But mainly, I'm getting a lot of that roasted almond, which is definitely working on the palate. And like I said, the creaminess comes through the retrohale with that very light baker spice going on with it. Now, I can tell the tobacco in this isn't aged long. Even though it is aged for Robusto, it is not as well aged as the Cohiba Bique or like my favorite Cuban cigar, which is the Portier Lusitania. That, and then my second actually would be the Romeo Juliette Bellicoso. Those two, even though they don't say they aged the tobacco on those, the tobacco on those are aged quite well. And this one, you could definitely taste the youngness in the tobacco. Now, other than that, the draw is still perfect. As you can see, there's a crack going on right there. Let me hit it with the light. So, it did not affect the burn. It is not affecting the draw. It's just as a crack in the wrapper. But the binder itself is holding very tight. Now, as far as the pairing going with this cognac, darn 8. A solid 8. And the main reason it's an 8 is because the cognac itself is carrying this pairing. Now, again, I know a lot of people are going to be mad. Cohiba's the best. You know what? They are. Definitely if you hit a Cohiba Bique. That cigar, whoo! Hands down, I haven't had a cigar yet that could touch it. But, one, I can't afford one right now, or a couple. But at this point, what I can afford are these. And I do have another one. I picked up the Cohiba Esplendidos. And that is sitting in a humidor. And that won't be touched until either the end of this year or the beginning of spring next year. Because again, I like putting age on my cigars. I don't care what they are. They could be New World. They could be Cuban. That being said, I'm going to go ahead, get a little bit more into this, and it'll be a review before the final third. But as far as this goes, I will see you at the final third. So we are back. Let me tell you folks, I'm going to have to give it to Shannon here. I was quite skeptic because, one, hey, A lot of celebrity endorsed products can be trash. And I hate to keep doing it to my man, but like Nas's cigars, Now, as far as this, yes. Now, let me tell you, if you don't like anything with fire in it, pass this by. But if you like something with a decent little kick to it with flavor, I'm not gonna lie, this is definitely where you want to be. I picked this up. I'll put the exact price, but when I paid for this, I do believe this was either $110 or $115 for the bottle, somewhere in between there. Now, as far as this pairing is going, it's an 8.5. I'm gonna have to move that cigar up to an 8. And truthfully, I'm gonna move this up to an 8.5. This cognac is definitely a decent kick. Now, folks, let me tell you, it ain't cheap. And the cigar itself is basically going for 95 a stick. And this is going between 110 115. So, nah, this is not budget friendly. This is a $200 experience. So, that being said, I'm going to go ahead and let this pairing go with these two. And like I said, it's an 8.5, and I will highly recommend it. All right, folks. Okay, folks, we are down to the final third. I had to give it a quick little touch-up light because where it was cracked, it was trying to burn a little bit wonky. So I didn't have to relight it, but I did have to do something about that crack. So I hit it with the torch lighter to get it to lay off that messed up burn it was giving me. That being said, it did have a flavor profile change. Now that baker spice is definitely on the palate. So when you do your draw, you're going to get hit with that almonds, and once that subsides, you're definitely going to have a little bit of spiciness left over. Now, it also, like I said, it has that little bit of creaminess coming through the retrohale, which is pleasant. And the baker's spice has subsided off of that. So now you're getting like I said, it's just cream on that retrohale. This cigar, unfortunately, at this point, is a $95 stick. I looked it up, and believe it or not, the cheapest is on iHavanas.com, where you can get 6 of these for $5.70. And of course, once you divide it by 6, it comes down to $95 a stick. When I purchased this, like I said, it was like $85 per stick, so it went up by $10. Unfortunately, somewhere else, you're probably going to pay a whole lot more. You may end up paying over $100 for this. Definitely if you pick this up in the UK. Now, as far as that is concerned, this is a very solid cigar. I would give it an 8. And like I said, I get a cognac at 8.5. These two are an 8.5 together, but I have a rum in my repertoire that unfortunately I believe it'll go definitely great with, but I'm not opening up that bottle yet. I would recommend Diplomatico rum. That with this would definitely be a nice experience, and it'll bring the cost down because, like I said, I paired this with the Le Portier, and the Le Portier could go anywhere between $105 to $115 for the bottle. All right, folks, I'm gonna go ahead and finish this off, and if there's any more changes, I'll let you know. All right, folks. Oh, y'all thought I forgot the ending. Nope. I just wanted to smoke a little bit more of this cigar. Now, I will warn you, the ash on this is quite snug and firm, and I had to ash it, and it pulled out the cherry, so I had to give it a quick touch-up light. That being said, like I said, both of these together or a solid 8.5. You could definitely do better preparing. Like I said, a real good rum or a real good cocktail would go with this. Or if you want to be a purist, like some people do, you may want to get some Havana Club rum and do both. But I have, like I said, I have Diplomatico rum. I have another one by 1706. But unfortunately, that bottle of rum is discontinued. And it costs too much for me to want to just break it out. Now, as far as this cigar, like I said, it's 8, more of a solid 8. And you would definitely have to watch out for the one main thing, and that is where you buy it from. Because the cigar, because of the tariffs, and because of them being sold, I'm really trying to remember who bought them, but the cigars have gone up. So these cigars are not, well, definitely not the Cohibas, are not going to be budget friendly whatsoever. And again, let's get to this ending. Now, folks, you know how I feel. If you got a lot of cigars, smoke them. If you got more than enough, go ahead, share them, and make another cigar head. So that being said, again, I definitely give these two together 8.5. The rum, the cognac itself is an 8.5. The cigar is an 8. All right, folks, I'm going to see you on the next cigar. And if you wonder why I broke up the wine series, like an idiot, I bought a bunch of wine. And the particular wine that I wanted to do with a couple of the cigars, the wife decided to debo me and took the wine. So her and her girlfriends drank up the wines that I wanted to use. So I have to go ahead, buy some more, and I will do them cigars. So yes, it may be this one and maybe another video, but after that I'll get right back into the last 2 bottles of wine. All right, folks, again, like I said, you got them, share them, you got a lot of them, make some cigar heads. All right, folks, I'm going.
Reporting live from a college dorm room. Turn studio. That's how we roll, though. Kai Roberts. Young man had a fetish for life. Was received by the dog, but breathes for life. Pulls up his sleeves, feels the breeze, but he dreams of ice. And he gon' work all night just to make sure it's right. Got the passion of the Chrysler. The way he makes moves, no competition, but so much to prove. Cause if he loses, just rehearsing the curse of the black man. Streets eat you up like Pac-Man. It's too familiar, especially in the whole billiard where they play for the foe. Live life on coals, preteen on the curb, addicts lean on poles. Baby girls knocked up by Rogan, couple street slogans in his lane. Just a symbol of pain and frustration. He closes his eyes in meditation, escapes from the fast-paced, changeless place to vacation. Take you to a new world.